We should be live.
No,
I see us.
I do not see us yet. Still not up.
I see us on my YouTube studio. Look.
Can't see it. Are you? Okay, you know what? Can you try just going live straight on the YouTube channel and we can direct everybody there?
It says it has 3 viewers.
So I can't, it's not.
I know.
No, we're live.
I know.
But it's not live in the place where it says we're supposed to be.
I checked with one parent who couldn't get on, and now I'm checking the office.
Now I'm working. Okay, so now we've got where the live link is. We just need to direct people there.
Why did it link to a different place?
No idea. But now I can't get back into the link for this.
Hold on, I can do it.
Hold on, I got it.
You got it? They said they can see and hear us. Hi, everyone.
Sorry, I'm gonna send a email out to the whole school with a updated link.
They can see us and hear us, though.
Great.
So.
Okay, well, please bear with us just 1 minute. And please be assured that we tested this about a zillion times before we actually went live, but you can't predict what will happen in the moment. Just working on getting the information out to the whole school, and we will be with you in about 2 minutes. Again, apologies for this, very sorry. Okay. Okay. That went out, so hopefully everybody who's viewing this on their phones and doesn't have access to the chat will be able to get that new link. We're just, as you know, directing everybody back to the main YouTube channel because there seems to be some trouble with the direct links. We're going to get started, and we will give all the time that has been allotted to this meeting. As we mentioned, all the meetings will take an hour, so we will use that time, and we apologize again for these delays. But thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm Jessica Melwani. I'm joined by my co-president, Karen Swibel, and of course, Manorhaven School Principal, Dr. Bonnie Cohen. So thanks also to our interpreter on the line, Manorhaven parent Victor Alfaya, who is providing language access for our Spanish-speaking families this morning. As demonstrated by our technical difficulties this morning, we seem never to be spared from some tumultuous, stressful times, and this has really been very confusing for all of us, not just the technical issues with the live stream, but this whole experience, stressful times, and this has really been very confusing for all of us, not just the technical issues with the live stream, but this whole stressful times. And I think that somebody is confusing for all of us, muted, and we're getting some feedback. I think that somebody is, whatever your feelings about the reopening plans or the process that got us here today, please know that the staff and the administration at Manorhaven has been working tirelessly over the summer to bring our kids safely back to school. The recent curveballs have been really challenging for everyone, including everybody who's been working on the plan. So we in the PTA are grateful for the commitment that our community, faculty, staff, and engaged parents has shown to finding the safest and most creative solutions possible within some unprecedented constraints. So the goal of this meeting is not to debate the merits of one plan over another, but to provide some clarity on how school is going to work on a day-to-day basis under the new hybrid reopening plan. We received almost 300 questions over the past week, and we shared every one of them with Dr. Cohen, who today will address those that came up most frequently and try to cover as much ground as possible. Please, of course, feel free to use the chat feature to submit additional questions that come to mind. And as always, please keep the chat respectful and focus on questions that you would like seen and heard. We understand this is really tough. We understand this is stressful. It's stressful for us too. So those are the rules of the road. Just be kind. The chat will be monitored throughout the meeting, and while we may not get to live questions in our hour together today, the transcript of the chat will be shared with Dr. Cohen afterwards. The PTA is also taking notes at each meeting and will compile them into an FAQ document to be published on the PTA website after the meetings. So with that, we will turn it over to Dr. Cohen. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Cohen, and sorry about those tech issues.
Dr. Cohen, you have to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Wonderful. So I'd like to start off by saying I'm so glad that we finally have this time together. We waited for this first meeting together, and I'm glad it's here. My goal today is to give you an understanding of our instructional model, answer your questions regarding the health and safety of your children, and explain our building protocols for the upcoming year. Most of all, I want you to know that I will do my best to help you through this difficult time. If I can help you with the easy fixes, know that I'm willing to do this. My work on district committees was and always will be with the best interest of the students and the staff. I am taking the final decisions that are given to me and making it work for our school. Although this meeting is only an hour, you will have an opportunity to ask more questions at our open house and follow-up PTA meetings. And as Mrs. Melwani just explained, the questions that we are left with will be answered for you. I'd like to begin with our instructional model, the hybrid model that was presented at the board meeting and also at the video that we shared, the district principal shared with you. The students will start the day every day as a group, as a classroom, using a Google Meet, which is all students together on a virtual meeting, whether they are hybrid at home, in school, or fully virtual. Everybody will be together to start the day and end the day. And learning will be continuous and new instruction will take place daily. I want you to know that we're taking attendance daily and asking everybody to dress for school and be punctual. So the in-person instruction for a hybrid will be Google Meets and live instruction. When you are at home for a hybrid, there will be Google Meets, the meetings that we talked about, and asynchronous learning. Asynchronous is when students are doing the work on a computer via recorded lessons, PowerPoints, and independent practice. If you are at home for all virtual instruction every day, you will also have Google Meets, you will also have asynchronous learning, and you will also have live streaming in the classroom. The live streaming are for our all virtual remote students. And so there are some important terms and things that I wanted you to understand about what's coming up this year. We are a one-to-one school district now. Every student will have a device. And much of the learning will take place at home, in school, using that computer. And it's important to note that if we are all in school, we should have, and unfortunately, if we are forced to go home for a remote instruction because of illness, if that comes up, it should be a very smooth transition that the devices are being used in the classroom, and then they can move to the home. If you hear the term synchronous instruction, that's live instruction with the teacher on a meeting in a Zoom. And virtual learning is another term, and that could include online individualized learning programs such as Freckle, Raz Kids, iRead, things that many of you in your grade levels you're already familiar with. And you would know that a Google Classroom is the platform where teachers and students come together for instruction. Teachers have the ability to post schedules, provide links for instruction, and can also give feedback. We are exploring outdoor Wi-Fi now because we want students to be outside as much as possible. We do not want to let go of our hands-on learning. So hands-on learning will be combined with computer time, and we will be very sensitive to the amount of time children are on a screen. We will continue to have our specials. All specials will be in effect. Teachers will be pushing into the classrooms, and music and PE will be outside whenever possible when the weather is good. The way we are going to handle our specials this upcoming year is with 2 weeks of rotation. So in other words, your child will have art for 2 weeks, library for 2 weeks, music for 2 weeks, 2 cycles of physical education, and also enrichment. Our PEP esteemed teachers will be giving school-wide enrichment to all students during these 2-week rotations. At this time, we don't have our core group up and running, but all students will have access to enrichment. Pullouts, of course, will remain just as they've been in the past. In a hybrid situation, your child will have pullout services when they're in school and then remotely when they are at home. Our fully remote students will have all virtual services. Pullouts will not take place during recess and lunch. Also, with regard to instruction, our children will have access to manipulatives as they have in the past for math, individualized bags, no sharing. We still feel that pencils, crayons, scissors, glue sticks are all important and part of the classroom. It's just this year we won't be sharing them. Everybody will have their own individual bags. A small group instruction will still take place in the classroom in a creative way. You can be on your computer with the teacher in a small group while other children are doing work in the classroom, or sitting next to students 6 feet apart and doing shared work that way. Our hybrid plan is in effect until we go to all in instruction, and more information will be coming. That's being worked out right now. So I know there might be additional questions about hybrid, but we can come back to that a little bit later in the meeting. I will answer any questions that you still have. I think the most important point I wanted you to get from this is that we are going to be creating a class culture, a class community through our morning and afternoon meetings when all children will be together virtually, so that everybody can feel connected to their group. I'm going to move into some building protocols. As far as, let's start with arrival and dismissal. For arrival, the use of transportation is still an option. Kindergarten students will still be sitting in the front of the bus. The older children would be sitting in the back of the bus. We only have 22 students on our bus. Our capacity is 66, but for safety and distancing, the maximum on our school bus will be 22. We are continuing with our car line for drop-off, and we will stagger drop-off so that we won't have so much congestion in our car line. When the children get off the bus, when the children get out of their car, they're going to be lining up outside and entering through multiple entrances designated for the children by their class and access to their classroom. So we won't have children passing each other in the hallways, as little as possible contact. So if a child comes late, they'll know that if the field is empty, they don't see children, they will be coming in through the front door. That's the only time that the front door will be used for that purpose. And for dismissal, we will also be dismissing through multiple entrances, exits. Children will remain in their classroom until they're called for dismissal. We want to avoid common waiting areas. We're working on a plan to get our kindergarten children out safely and early, and the other children will be called to their bus, walking socially distanced. They'll be watched in the hallways and monitored as they meet their families who are waiting for them. We're going to do that through alphabet so that families can be waiting in one spot for their children, regardless of their grade level. And lunch and recess. Lunch will be served in classrooms, one grade level at a time. All allergy protocols will be followed. Children will have opportunities to eat outside whenever possible. We're working on locations for outdoor lunch, but otherwise it will be in the classroom and delivered to the door. And they will be monitored by a paraprofessional. They will be unmasked, of course, while they're eating, and then they will be masked when children will continue to wear a mask when they go out for recess. We are allowing our children to use the equipment, the playground equipment. They will sanitize before they use the equipment and sanitize afterwards to be safe. And when they're outside, children will be playing with other children in their class cohort. So it will be a smaller group, and they won't be mixing with each other just to keep safe. Indoor recess will be in the classroom. Again, children will remain in their classroom with their own pods, their own groups. They'll have tabletop toys. We're going to allow children to bring their own toys from home, or have small packages of maybe cards or things that they can use. We'll have access to smart boards. Just we want to keep everybody socially distanced, but try to allow the children to have a little bit of a good time during recess and a chance to relax. They'll be, when children are outside, they'll be assigned a certain area outside, which will rotate. Playgrounds will be cleaned once a day, and we'll have hand sanitizers in every classroom. I think I already mentioned they can bring small toys from home. We have bathroom protocols in place as well. Only one child at a time will be allowed in the bathroom. We'll have a bathroom monitor who will be circulating the hallways, monitoring bathrooms. Urinals will be closed and only stalls will be used. Every other sink will be closed, and we will not have hand dryers, paper towels only in the bathrooms. Another area that I would like to mention regarding building protocols is that every building in our school has an isolation room. And the isolation room is a room dedicated for students and staff who present symptoms of COVID. We have a nurse who will be monitoring that room, while we will have coverage in the nurse's room if the nurse is called out of the room. The nurse will be making any decision about using her own best professional judgment with regard to, are these symptoms of COVID? As a rule, parent visitors are not coming into the building. We will not have parent visitors. That will be revisited, of course, as time goes on. No outside vendors, no special programs that aren't virtual right now. But again, all this is for now. This is how we're starting school. With regard to outdoor learning spaces, we have a committee, a building level committee that is exploring outdoor learning spaces so that we can have places dedicated for outdoor learning, and also for mask breaks. We want our children to be able to have a little bit of time to be comfortable without a mask outside, socially distanced. If they have a quick mask break in the class, we're exploring the possibility of a few children at a time so that they're not unmasked all at the same time, and it will be for less than 10 minutes to prevent exposure. That's a parent's choice. If a parent wants to send a letter in that says, I don't want my child taking part in a mask break, that's up to you. Your child will remain masked, but every effort will be made to have this take place outside. What I wanted to recommend is to try to build, if your child has not been wearing a mask, just help them build stamina for school. And somebody pointed out to me that a way parents are building stamina is saying at home, when you're on screen time, wear your mask. So that's a way that they are doing something that they find very pleasurable at home, but also practicing building mask wearing stamina. Snacks and lunch are additional times during the day when students will not be wearing masks. Snacks may be staggered, few children at a time eating their snack while the learning is continuous. Right now, we don't have any medically exempt students, so all students in our school will be masked unless I hear otherwise. Okay, I want to move on to health and safety. I'm going to read something that was given to all building principals by our buildings and ground, and this is regarding cleaning procedures. For daytime procedures, at the start of each school day, custodial crews at each building will diligently clean and disinfect all entry points for students and staff. This includes wiping down all door handles, hardware, handrails, and other high-touch surfaces. Throughout the day, custodial staff will be touring the building and continue to disinfect surfaces. This includes the above mentioned areas, as well as classroom door handles, drinking fountains, and other points of contact. In addition, we will continue to monitor all restrooms periodically to ensure that they are properly sanitized and well stocked with hand washing supplies. In between meal periods, custodial staff will conduct heightened cleaning, disinfecting of classrooms, as well as repeat the process once the meals are completed for the day. At dismissal time in each building, they will repeat the process once again, disinfect all exit points, door handles, hardware, etc. In conjunction with the above, we've installed additional hand sanitizer dispensers throughout the building for the convenience of staff and students. The nighttime procedure is as follows. In regards to our nightly cleaning procedures, I have a document in front of me, which is a comprehensive checklist for each staff member to follow. So the checklist includes 34 items that will be cleaned daily. Desktops will be cleaned and disinfected, all stairways, mopped and dusted, restrooms, mirrors, windows, restroom floors, entrance mats. It's an extensive list. This document also mirrors our quality control inspection forms completed by each head custodian, a program that was instituted several years ago to ensure that the facilities maintain a high degree of cleanliness. In response to the coronavirus, the district has purchased additional fogging machines, which are used for wide-scale application of a cleaning chemical. Previously, this method of disinfecting was reserved for outbreaks of flu and other illnesses in the building. In light of current events, the custodial staff will implement this process on a daily or weekly basis. The products that are being used are Pure Green 24, which is a disinfectant and deodorizer, Hydroxy Pro, which is a concentrated cleaner. The fogger is being used after hours and on a nightly basis. And the chemicals are safe chemicals that are used in the fogging application. Just some other items regarding health. We know that all children are wearing masks at this time. Ventilation systems have been checked by Buildings and Grounds. District ordered HEPA filters for each room have been an added precaution. Large spaces such as the gym, the cafetorium, and the all-purpose room will also have HEPA filters. Air conditioners can be used. The air conditioning system and the ventilation system are two different systems. Windows and doors can be opened in rooms that do not have air conditioners. Air conditioners are in rooms for medical reasons only. The district will not be purchasing additional units at this time. Each school will be receiving 10 sanitation stations. We are opening because we are less than a 5% COVID rate. We will close according to our governor if we are at 9% over a 7-day period. All children, as they enter the class, will use a hand sanitizer in the class. And with regard to tracing and testing, health screening begins at home. Parents must take temperatures and assess their children for any symptoms at home. When in doubt, please keep your children at home. Parents will be asked to answer 4 questions and fill out an app before entering school. Have you been exposed to somebody with COVID? Has your child been experiencing symptoms of COVID, tested positive for COVID, or traveled in any of the restricted areas? If there's a sibling at home who is sick, all siblings should stay home. If a child is in school and presents with a symptom, they will be escorted to the nurse's office for assessment. If a child comes to the nurse with a fever, you may be wondering how we know that this is a sign of COVID. Well, we will err on the side of caution and leave it in the hands of our professional nurses to make that determination. If our nurses determine symptoms may be related to COVID, they will be supervised in the isolation room pending pickup. Siblings will be sent home as well. If deemed necessary to get a COVID test, students will be required to stay home until medical clearance, and siblings will stay home as well until the test results are in. As per the guidance of the Department of Health, we will determine who needs to be notified if there is a positive case, and it will be in letter form. Right now, we're working on placement and placement letters. They will be received closer to the start of instruction. If by some chance your child is separated from a friend during hybrid instruction, they will be together again when we're all in. We ask that you send additional masks. And lastly, have faith in our amazing teachers, because they will make sure that this year is just as wonderful as any other year. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Dr. Cohen. We have been getting a lot of questions in through the live chat. And we also still have quite a few on our list. So there is some overlap, and I guess we'll just start with some of the health and safety concerns that parents have. Sure. One question that's come up in the chat and prior to the meeting, will or have the HEPA filters been installed in the classrooms yet, or will they be installed by the first day of school?
They will be, to my knowledge, they will be installed by the first day of school.
Great, thank you. If a child is sent home from school or is required to stay home from school, and the siblings are sent home or required to stay home, will that child and or the siblings be able to participate virtually even on their in-person days if they are not in fact sick? Or will it just be treated as an absence?
We will have the ability to have them stay connected to the class, so they may join our virtual instruction.
Great. Is there any plan for regular COVID testing of staff and students in the district and in our buildings?
I have not been told that there is.
Okay. For children who have medical conditions with symptoms that could mimic COVID, for instance, children who have allergies or enlarged adenoids that result in frequent runny noses or scratchy throats, or coughs, will that prevent them from attending school? And if not, what should parents know before the school year starts in terms of providing documentation of medical conditions?
All medical conditions would have been discussed prior to the school year with the nurse, and if they haven't, they should be. So I would leave it in the hands of our school nurse to make the determination, but that nurse, then our nurse, Ms. Ponce, needs to have that information in advance.
Great. In terms of the isolation room, several questions came up about having multiple children waiting in the isolation room. What are the protocols around sort of the number of people who are allowed in the isolation room at any given time, or whether students can be allowed to wait outdoors if they need to be picked up from being in the isolation room?
Again, I would ask our nurse to make that final determination. We have a larger room than some of the other schools. We can space our children far apart and masked if there are two children who are in there who are unwell. I would leave that up to the nurse and to follow Department of Health protocols for the number of children.
Okay. A lot of questions came up around mask wearing, and you've addressed many of them. One question that came up a few times is around discipline and enforcement around the rules for mask wearing. If there's a child who refuses or who just can't seem to keep it on during the day, how will that be treated both during the day and with parents at home?
So I think it would be encouragement, and it's as any of the rules of school are enforced, gently, kindly, and with encouragement by the classroom teacher.
Thank you. Getting into some of the logistics. We've had several parents, particularly parents of new students or students who may be a little anxious about what the school year will look like. if the school has never allowed students on campus before the start of the school year, but is there anything that the building staff will be doing to help familiarize students with the building, with the classrooms before the start of the school year? Anything to alleviate some of the anxieties that students and parents may have before coming into the classrooms?
And you're talking about students who are new to the building?
Or not. I mean, if there are students who have just, gotten anxious about what school may look like and how different it may be this year from what they know, is there anything that the staff is doing to help prepare the kids ahead of coming into the building? Any videos or tours, anything going on like that?
Right now we have, our plans are for kindergarten students only. I'm open to exploring other possibilities, so I'll just make a note. And I don't have any, I'm not committed to doing anything right now, but maybe this is a discussion I can bring back to principals in all the other buildings. We meet frequently and we try to make our decisions together.
Thank you. A lot of questions around logistics, arrival and dismissal. You've addressed many of them. One question is around carpooling. So if arrival and dismissal are to be staggered to avoid congregating and to help alleviate some of the flow out of different entrances and exits to the building, how will carpooling be treated, and can parents still pick up students other than their own children?
So as always, parents can pick up children with a note. That's not a problem. And I would be as flexible as I can so that our recommended times would be guidelines and not hard, fast rules. Because if you are a working parent, you need to get to work at a certain time, and maybe the last time slot is what we're recommending and it doesn't work for you. It has to be done as a recommendation, and it's really being done for the convenience of parents, so to stop long lines. So there's flexibility. That's what I'm trying to say. Yes.
Sure. And can you just confirm or clarify that arrival and dismissal dismissal will not be a drive-through the way that arrival is a drive-through on the car line? That dismissal will be park and pick up your child?
Yes.
Okay. If students use the bus, I know that we were asked to fill out that district survey about our intentions regarding the bus. If a student is designated to use the bus, will parents still have the flexibility to designate their child a walker on certain days if they have to pick them up for an emergency or an appointment?
Like always, yes.
Just like always, great. We've talked about some of the logistics in the classroom, that desks will be set up 6 feet apart. Can you just clarify the distancing requirement between students? Is that between desks? Is it between students? How will distance be maintained both at the desks and throughout the day?
So this was a recent conversation with administration, and our desks will be 6 feet apart from student to student as per the Department of Health requirements.
Okay. We've talked about lunch in the classrooms. Have any outdoor lunch options been considered on nice days? And will the kitchen be providing hot meals or bag lunches?
So they're grab and go lunches from what I understand. I don't know what's in I don't know what's in the bag yet, but I will find out. And we are exploring opportunities for all of our students to eat outside when possible. So that is, yes, that is being explored.
Great. And now to move into some of the questions. We've gotten a lot of instructional questions. And as we talked about at the beginning, some may or may not be ready to be answered yet. But some of the questions that have come up are around the guidelines or the criteria that will be reassessed on or by October 5th to determine whether we can go back to a 5-day in-person model. Do you know what some of that guidance or some of those criteria are?
So I'm not sure.
Sorry, Dr. Hines mentioned in his last note that the goal was to be back in school for 5 days fully in person by October 5th. What are some of the criteria that need to be met between now and then that would get us back there?
So we have to revisit spacing to make sure spacing is still, spacing. So, and also a big part of it would be staffing and how we're going to handle, we can't have a full class in a classroom. So the consideration right now is, will there be a fifth section? Will each class be split in half? Will there be one teacher going back and forth between two classrooms with asynchronous instruction and live instruction? So these are the decisions that have to be made to make sure that we have a plan that our teachers and our parents, all feel comfortable with.
Right.
It is being looked at intensely for the next week and a half.
Got it. Thank you. Question came up several times. Will the desks have plexiglass shields, or will the teachers have a plexiglass shield anywhere where they would be teaching from?
No, the district made a decision to keep 6 feet apart rather than have plexiglass.
Okay.
Dividers.
Yep.
6 feet and masked rather than closer than 6 feet with the dividers.
Okay. Now, we've all sort of been following the back and forth around the plan. Have the teachers signed off on this plan, and are they fully on board to implement the hybrid program?
Oh, I think there's concern about the how, like not concern, but like a bit of like, how am I going to do this? Because unless you do it and work it through, you can anticipate the kinks. So I think that's what we're doing right now. We're working with our teachers to find out the best way to implement the plan with regard to space. So for instance, Google Classrooms in the morning, that's the best plan. We want everybody together. So where will the teacher be when conducting this lesson? So we're finding rooms for teachers to plan, separate rooms while they're planning, and then coming back in, and will the logistics work? Will they be able to have the children in the classroom on headphones in the meet while the virtual children are at home? So these are the things we're working out with technology. I think once we try it, we'll see where we have to tweak it. But I think we're able to. And, teachers are thinking of everything that could go wrong in advance so that they'll be ready, which is what we're supposed to be doing. So I guess we're working it out right now. But the question was, have they signed off on it? I don't know if that's, I don't know if that happens, or we sort of all discuss it together and tweak it. We're doing that right now at our building level meetings.
Great. Question about technology, several questions about technology and also accountability. How will teachers take attendance each morning for the kids who are at home, and how are we going to address accountability for both students and teachers on remote school days?
So that's the purpose for the Google Meet in the morning. That's where attendance will be taken.
Okay. And how will a child's participation in the asynchronous learning or in the live stream observation be measured or checked in?
So the live stream, I can't tell you. I don't have the technical know-how to tell you how we can do that. Asynchronous learning, we have records if they log into Freckle, if they log into many of our platforms, that's where the attendance is taken. And if they have assignments on Google Meet, asynchronous assignments, they would hand it in.
I'm going to go to the chat because we've been asking a lot of questions that came in prior to the meeting. A lot of questions have come in around class placement, which you mentioned will be coming closer to the start of school. And when will we be informed of the white or blue teen designation so we know how to plan our schedules?
I believe it's the first week of September. Many parents have reached out to me. We can start off saying A to L, M to Z. A to L would be the Monday, A to L would be the white group, Monday, Thursday. However, programming may have an impact. So if your child has special services, even though their last name starts with a B, they might not be able to be in that group. So as a general thought, that's how we would be planning. If a parent needs to know sooner, I might have that information at the end of the week, because that's when we're, it's being worked on right now.
Thank you. Some other logistical questions. Will school supply lists remain the same, or should we expect to see changes?
So I asked my teachers to go back and say what is absolutely essential for the beginning of the school year and what may not be essential to start the school year. So if parents have bought the material already, I don't want them to feel discouraged. Why did I buy it? Because it will be used, just not to start the year. So I have priorities from a few of the grade levels already, and I'll be sending that out through PTA and posting on the website, and it'll show, it might change a little bit. The only thing I want to add for everybody is to come in with a towel. Bring a towel. When we go outside, your child will have a towel. Fridays, bring the towel home, wash it, bring it back on Monday. So that's going to be in addition to all lists.
Great. A lot of questions coming in and also submitted before the meeting about temperature checking. Now on the hybrid plan, given that there will be roughly half the number of students in school at any given time, is it possible to do temperature checks in the morning as a screening process as kids walk in the door?
We have not been told that by the district that that's going to be happening. It's still temperature checks at home, but if there hasn't been a temperature check, we need to follow up here in school.
Okay. We also talked about, and we addressed the question of testing and whether regular testing would be required throughout the year. Just to clarify, will any testing be required of students or staff prior to the first day of school? COVID testing?
We have not been told that, no.
Okay. So we know the district has created a one-to-one device initiative. When will those devices be distributed? And what happens if a device breaks?
I know that they're in, and I know that they're being ready for distribution. So as soon as I have more information on the distribution date and how, I will send it out to the parents. If a device breaks, a parent would return the device, just like we did over during the spring, and a new device will be issued.
Great. Scrolling through the questions in the chat. If a child goes home due to illness other than COVID, either it's determined that it's not COVID or it never was COVID to begin with, will all students need a doctor's note to return to school no matter the cause of the illness? Or is it only COVID that's going to require a doctor's note?
To my knowledge, when children are out sick, they do return with a doctor's note for serious illnesses. I will have to get more information on the protocol. That would come from our nurse's office.
Okay. In classrooms, where will they be using the cubbies or closets as they did in the past to store personal belongings?
No, coats and backpacks will be behind the chairs. They will not be using our cubbies. They will not be using our closets. As a matter of fact, our closets are being used for storage for teacher material, so that we are allowing more space for the spacing of desks in the classroom. So while we removed bookshelves, a lot of the things that the teachers are going to be needing were placed in our closets.
With respect to instruction, we know that the schedules provided in the video presentation that you and the other elementary principals created were sample schedules. Is there a minimum requirement for live interaction on remote days for students who are hybrid and also for students who are fully remote? What is the minimum for live learning?
So
with the teacher?
children who are learning remotely are invited to live stream all day. So they would be part of the Google Meet beginning and end of the day. They'd be part of live streaming during the day. On hybrid days, we have three opportunities for children to meet live with the teacher and doing with their work being done in between. So they have the morning meeting, they have another live instruction period in midday, and then they end the day with the teacher.
If for some reason we do, there is a closure and everybody has to go fully remote, what is the plan for either maintaining the schedules of the hybrid learners or merging the two platforms, the ones who are fully remote and the ones who are in school and hybrid? What is the thinking on the program for if everybody is fully remote?
I believe that's posted somewhere, posted on the website, and it involves two live sessions and check-ins during the week. SEL check-ins.
Okay.
As well as asynchronous learning.
Okay, but the two platforms, will all students sort of attend together at that point? Together, okay. Now, a lot of parents have asked questions about the pace of learning and the pace of instruction, given that the students will be in school in person only 2 days a week. Will the pace of instruction be maintained day to day with the expectation that hybrid learners at home will be keeping up and progressing, or will some of the material be retaught day to day to ensure that kids who may not have been able to get to the live stream or get onto the computer for their asynchronous learning are keeping up?
So the district is very strong on the stand that it's continuous learning. However, teachers will be meeting individual needs of students as well. So we are planning for new instruction daily, but without letting children be left behind because they weren't able to follow.
Okay. What is the expectation in terms of live interaction with a teacher, not necessarily for direct instruction, but for feedback and communication, extra help if it's needed for remote learners, whether they're hybrid or fully virtual?
So we have Wednesdays for small group instruction, SEL check-ins. Teachers will be checking in at the beginning and end of the day with their students in a Google Meet, and the middle of the day would be used for that purpose.
Okay. Questions come up around substitute teaching. What happens if a teacher is absent or especially out on leave for a long period of time? How will the consistency of instruction be maintained, especially virtually with substitute teachers?
Well, we will have 3 permanent subs assigned to our building who will be there for that purpose.
Okay.
It's a great place to start.
Okay. Some clarifications around the size of groups, and maybe we can just start this sort of in a tiered way. And I know we addressed this a little earlier, but what is the in-person class size under the hybrid model? What is the sort of outside remote size of the class for learning, and what is the size of the small groups for Wednesday instruction or check-ins?
So we have entering and emerging ENL students who are coming every day.
Right.
They are coming 4 days. If we have between 0 and 3 in every class. So if a class was divided in half and we had certain children coming every day, the largest class size that we would have in school is 14. Most would be 10 or 11. The hybrid, now I don't have a list of who is opted in for remote learning, so I can't comment on that. So that would leave the hybrid to be somewhere around 8, 9, 10 children. But chances are the numbers are going to be much less because we have our remote students. And I believe parents have until the 28th to sign in for that. So while I'm saying the largest class is 14, chances are it's going to be smaller than that.
Okay. And in terms of the small group check-ins on Wednesdays, how big will those, what's the size of those groups?
I would leave it up to the teachers to see it as necessary. They might want to group by learning ability. They might want to reteach a hybrid lesson that was a particularly difficult lesson. So I would have to leave it up to the teacher's discretion.
Great. A lot of questions, particularly for this group of 3rd to 5th grade parents, came in about PEP and the PEP program, STEAM push-in for all students, as well as core group. We know that the 6th grade core group at Weber will not be happening this year. What is the status of PEP for 4th and 5th graders this year, for those students waiting to be tested, and how it will be treated either for all students and core group, virtually and in person?
So at this time, I believe that the core group will not take place this year. If there are changes to that, I'll wait to hear. But right now, our esteemed teacher, our PEP teacher, is part of the special rotation.
Okay. Thank you. A lot of questions around live streaming, screen time, sort of how will, a lot of things we don't know about how live streaming will work, as you mentioned earlier, just because we need to see how things go and what needs to be tweaked. Will students at home have opportunities to interact with the classroom if they're watching or observing the live stream? Are the teachers and paraprofessionals working on ways to interact with the kids who are at home during the live stream, or does the technology allow for that?
The way I see it, it would be during one of the 3 times that they were meeting with the teacher and the class. So I am not aware of a way that they can interact while live streaming.
Okay. In terms of special education services, if a child has an IEP and receives services as either a pullout or push-in, will those services be happening in the same ways that they used to? Will they be delivered in person, or will some services be delivered virtually?
If services are scheduled for 2 times a week, 2 times a week they will be in person. If they're scheduled for 3, 4, 5 times a week, they will be virtual and in-person instruction.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about movement breaks? They were a big part of the classroom experience before COVID. What will those look like now, particularly for students with medically diagnosed conditions like ADHD, who really benefited from some of the kinesthetic classroom equipment and the movement breaks throughout the day? How will we make sure our kids stay active and burn off some of the steam that accumulates during the day?
Well, unfortunately, we can't do any of that burning of steam off in the classroom, because to do any kind of physical activity, you have to be 12 feet apart, which is why outdoor education happening as often as possible would be the way. That's not saying that a child can't stand up, stretch, and that's something that we will be incorporating as necessary, but unfortunately, we cannot have physical activity in the classroom.
Got it. In terms of the hybrid plan, is the expectation that students who are with the hybrid remote cohort will also tune into the live stream on their off days, or is the live stream exclusively for fully remote students?
Fully remote students only.
Okay, so got it. Still, we're getting some questions and some clarifications about class size. Can you clarify that the max classroom size is as we heard it before, 14 students in person?
So that's for hybrid.
Right.
It will look different. It will look differently and may go up to 16, 17, 18, depending on the class space. So if we have, just let's say we have all in and we are using a fifth classroom, we have grade levels that can have up to 18 students.
And the class and they will be using classroom spaces that can accommodate 18 students at 6-foot distance between desks.
So in other words, if we had a class of 18, their classroom would be the all-purpose room.
Right.
So we're not allowed to set up a classroom unless we can distance 6 feet for all students.
Okay.
Right. The hybrid model would have less, of course, than the all-in model.
Right.
Because the hybrid is half, while we have, we're just splitting up the sections into one extra group if we're all in.
Right. So what we're hearing, and just to clarify, is that students, we will be using spaces other than the traditional classrooms that students may have been assigned to in the past in order to accommodate the necessary number of students per grade under the hybrid model.
Not in the hybrid model. Just in the all-in model. In the hybrid model, we can accommodate all students in the classrooms.
Okay. Should parents be expecting to get any more information and any more detail about the instructional plans before the deadline to choose fully virtual or in person on Friday? Is there anything else parents can expect to learn before then in order to help make that decision?
This is what I think. I think the hybrid plan is as is. The only thing that we can wait to hear is more information about the all-in plan to come.
Okay.
So that our hybrid plan is what it is. And we will do our best in every way to make it work. But there will be more information to come and that you'll need to hear for the all-in plan.
Okay. Do you know if the district will be reporting the figures that they receive after Friday's deadline for the percentage of students at each school that will be going fully remote versus in person?
I can find out. I don't have that information. I will have to know, but I don't know if it will be public on the district website, possibly.
Okay. Still need some clarification. What is the actual space between desks?
If it's student to student, it's 6 feet from student to student. If it's desk to desk, it would be less than 6 feet. That's
Okay.
all that I could say.
Yes. So the measurement is from student to student, nose to nose, or mouth to mouth, whatever that metric is. Okay.
Right. As per the Department of Health.
Yes. I think we've gone over to account for the time that we missed due to the tech difficulties. And again, so sorry about that. But I think we did cover a lot of ground. There are still a lot of questions. There are a lot of questions that parents have about, as to why certain decisions were made. Again, as we said in our introduction, this is a forum for us to get as much detail as we can about what the school day will actually look like, what instruction will look like under this hybrid plan, and not to dive deep into the why certain decisions were made or why certain decisions were not made. So, if you are on the call and you still have questions and there's information you really want, you should of course feel free to email Dr. Cohen directly with those questions. I think we actually covered a lot, not all 300 of the questions that were in the document, but we got a lot of them. And we are grateful to everybody for your patience, for staying on the line, for bearing with us through some tech difficulties. If you are joining another meeting for another student in another grade, please just click out of this and sign back into the main YouTube channel, and you'll see the live stream when that comes up. Dr. Cohen, I just want to thank you for making the time today. We also want to thank again our interpreter, Victor Alfaya, who's on the line and has been so helpful during this discussion. Please do remember to submit your forms to make your selection for whether you'll be going fully virtual as of the start of school on September 8th. Those are due by the 28th. And again, thank you. Again, we know this has been very challenging. It's been challenging for all of us, including those who have been involved in the plan making. We will be signing on to the next call at 11:30 for those of you who are asking. And if you do have other specific questions, please email. You can send them to the PTA. We'll be happy to share them with Dr. Cohen, or you can feel free to email Dr. Cohen directly. Dr. Cohen, any final thoughts?
The only thing I want to say is I am getting many, many, many emails. So while usually I try to answer within a few hours, please be patient. It might take 24 hours for a response. I will get to you, I promise.
Thank you.
I just appreciate everybody's time and patience, and we're all looking forward to coming back together. Thank you.
Thank you.